Could Homelander defeat the Deep Sea King? Could Cavill's Superman stand up to Boros? Would Invincible have what it takes to defeat the Elder Centipede? These are all questions which spurred within my mind not long after the creation of the One Punch Man hero ranking video I did for some of the most popular Superman types around the release of the latest Superman movie. And so today, we'll be focusing in with a casual, fairly loose video where we determine the strongest monsters of One Punch Man each popular Superman-esque iteration could handle successfully. And again, just to clarify, this will be a pretty relaxed video to help get you guys through one more summer's day. So I'm not really going to go too hard in the paint with the specifics, but we'll get the main points across. Speed blitzing is a big thing for these matchups, so if you're going to crash out about some of the limits these Supermen reach, remember even if they have physical strength over some monsters, it doesn't amount to much if they're getting non-stop blasted by something they can't even react to, which is packing some heavy power behind it every time. Again, remember, some of these guys wouldn't be Supermen in One Punch Man, they'd just be pretty good men who happen to fly. I'm also only going to include monsters from season 1 and 2 of One Punch Man who have been seen in battle, so no mention of monsters who had their time to shine in the manga will be stated here, which means you are all safe from One Punch Man manga spoilers for this video. Kicking things off with Vort's finest, we have Homelander from Amazon's The Boys. For the most part, a lot of people understand that Homelander isn't finding too much joy in the world of One Punch Man, but every so often you'll hear one person say that he couldn't possibly be weaker than Putty Putty Prisoner or something. The big issue with Homelander in his quest to defeat One Punch Man's nastier monsters isn't necessarily that he can't punch a lot of them hard enough, it's that he's just not fast enough to keep up with threats which are within the realm of Deep Sea King, to use as an example. Around this level of beastie and above, they're moving around massively hypersonic speeds in combat with disastrous amounts of power fueling their attacks to match. This means that Homelander, for all his physicality, struggles to keep up with fierce, foul monsters who will be ringing his nose like a doorbell with punches harder than the one Maeve bloodied him with, and at speeds he cannot process. It's already been proven that people with significant strength can rock, stun, and bloody the world's best dad, so when you combine that with the overwhelming speed which Homelander simply cannot keep up with, it's going to cause a very big problem. This leads me to believe that, roughly, the strongest types of monsters we could more confidently say will get finished like a bottle of fresh milk from Stillwell's mini fridge are the likes of Fistfight Jin, the Three Crows, and Armored Gorilla. Essentially, low-ish level demon category threats who haven't shown the ability to move at speeds seen from Deep Sea King or beyond. Hancock is a blast from the past who I saw some of you were happy to have included in the Superman type rankings video I did before, and interestingly enough, he's a somewhat similar case to Homelander, except with a higher level of power. Hancock is powerful when it comes to his damage output, meaning he could most certainly put a beatdown on many demon level monsters within One Punch Man as far as striking strength goes. However, like Homelander, he suffers from the ability to fight at the speeds required to match many ferocious opponents within that same grade of monster. Since his known fighting speeds do not transcend the likes of Deep Sea King or G4 from the demon category, Hancock is going to have a tough time keeping up with them in battle. However, he is also more than strong enough to kill them should he connect with his attacks. This puts Hancock in a funny spot where he's potent enough to destroy some notable monsters within the series, yet not quick enough to reliably hit those very same monsters. However, this is where some character work comes into play. Deep Sea King would probably allow Hancock to hit him first, since, truthfully, he wouldn't know any better, and the leader of the Sea Folk tends to be too arrogant for his own good in the first place. If it goes down this way, it's very possible that Hancock takes him down in one shot, since Deep Sea King has been shown multiple times to let opponents freely hit him. I think this is unintentionally note him down as a Hancock victim for this video. To boil it down, any demon level monster willing to stand there and let themselves get walloped like Chris Rock did by Will Smith at the Oscars probably goes in the ground. Anything above that which doesn't want to get touched by Hancock won't get touched, and that will go on until a city's worth of damage catches up to John Boy, which is confirmed by the director to be enough to knock him out. Overall, I'd throw the strongest available in-character names Hancock could beat to creatures like Rhino Wrestler, Deep Sea King, and the Beast King. Shazam from DCEU movie zaps his way in next. Unlike the previous two we've just spent some time with, Shazam can actually keep up with the massively hypersonic ranges of the more stiff demon level monsters within One Punch Man. This combined with his mystical power and Superman-like capabilities makes him much more of an overall real force to be reckoned with. Because of this, Shazam can comfortably keep up with many more demon level threats in rapid hand-to-hand combat with a consistency Homelander and Hancock haven't proved capable of. For me, this solidifies him above the likes of Subterranean King, Beast King, Deep Sea King, and similar opposition, even allowing Shazam to take it to enemies such as Rhino Wrestler and Senior Centipede. I'd even say that Shazam has the capability to take out the titan-like being known as Beefcake with his superior speed and comparable strength. However, I think Shazam starts to fall short when coming into contact with someone like Carnage Kabuto, a creature who is too fierce, brutal, and fast for someone like Shazam to reliably keep up with and contain. While you could argue Shazam has more strength than Kabuto, it doesn't amount for much when Kabuto is simply all over him at speeds Shazam can't handle while accumulating a merciless beatdown throughout. Simply put, Shazam has all the tools required for some dragon level threats except the combat speed, and with that missing, it's hard to say he takes anyone above Beefcake's power level if they're moving faster than he is. Quite possibly the most popular from this entire list, we have Henry Cavill's Superman. This man reached high S in the previous Superman rankings video, and for good reason, because his power and speed are off the charts and combined for a level of effectiveness which would serve him very well within One Punch Man. Taking this Superman at his absolute strongest between the two versions of the Justice League movie, there aren't many monsters within One Punch Man's first two seasons who are capable of stepping to the splendor that is the Man of Steel. Superman's extreme strength means that even the likes of Carnage Kabuto and Vaccine Man cannot contain his damage for long, and when coupled with his ability to keep up with the Flash in battle, this paints a picture which tells us that he's not going to be left behind in the speed department, which comes along with fighting the likes of dragon level threats. Cavill's Superman may also be capable of defeating notorious monsters such as Elder Centipede and even the Monster Association cadre Goketsu. So is it a full sweep for the Man of Steel? Even the great generals of Boros fall to this man. Melzagard and Gerrigan Shoop could not hope to hold back this Superman for long. However, even the illustrious Man of Steel has a limit, and his name is Boros, the dominator of the universe. Even still, a very impressive section here. The strongest version of Cavill's Superman defeats the entirety of One Punch Man's first two seasons of monsters, with the exception of Lord Boros. Or at least, that's what we're gonna say if we think that Cavill's Superman has lightspeed combat. And now for the new kid on the block, David Corenswet's Superman. And no meaningful spoilers, so don't worry. It's interesting because in my previous Superman types video, there was a large gulf between how people who saw the movie rated this new Superman's power. Some people believed he was low S, which paints a picture of him being fairly weaker as a Superman iteration, whereas some people believed him to be high S and a Superman which was even stronger than Cavill's. The majority of people seemed happy with him being placed around the mid S point, overall making him someone weaker than Cavill's Superman but stronger than the likes of Homelander, Hancock, and similarly powered Supermen. For the sake of listening to the majority of my comments, I'll go with the idea that this Superman is within the mid S tier of effectiveness for the most part. Again, this is based on the majority of my comment section in the previous video combined with my own singular viewing of the movie. So while I won't say this view on him is concrete for me, it's the best I can do with the general viewer consensus and my own one-time viewing of the movie. With that in mind, Corenswet's Superman should be powerful enough to overwhelm the likes of Senior Centipede, Demon Chose, Face Ripper, and similarly powered monsters with brute force. It's very arguable he doesn't match any of these in combat speed, but I'll give him the benefit of the doubt to a degree and say he can tank and punish with enemies like this. When we start pushing into dragon level territory, Foul Demon Beefcake should be beneath Superman, so I'll give him that victory too. However, from what I saw and how most people I've seen feel, I think he begins to hit a wall with the likes of Goketsu. Once this level of outrageous skill starts to come into play against the theorized mid-S level of 2025 Superman, whatever strength advantage Superman may have will be lessened, since the master martial arts of Goketsu will make it nigh impossible for someone of Superman's hand-to-hand skill to overcome, especially in an absurdly skilled universe like One Punch Man. I'm open to being wrong on this, but if Goketsu is faster in a fight like he should be, when adding in his ridiculous skill level on top of that, well, there's not much this Superman can effectively land while receiving some very nasty hits in return. Again, take this section with a pinch of salt, but he has very humble combat speed feats, and that is going to be a huge problem for him here. So if he can't keep up with Goketsu or similar dragon level threats who are far beyond him in fighting quickness and can accumulate big damage on him over consecutive hits, then his supposed AP is far less effective and he'll go down sooner or later. Mark Grayson from Amazon Prime's Invincible has his turn now, and he's also a little bit tricky like some of the other ones. What Mark can do, but what Mark chooses to do, always ends up being at odds with one another. So when you're taking him at face value against who he could or couldn't and beat, you need to take into account this guy's serial habit of holding back or just approaching some situations like a complete dummy. The biggest thing to keep in mind here is that Invincible's combat speed is not fantastic, but his physical strength is very good, which paints him into a picture similar to Hancock and Homelander like from before. Prime Alan, who is stronger than both Invincible and Omni-Man within the Amazon Prime series, takes seconds to reach Mach 10 within planetary atmosphere. And this is Alan from the comics, who should be more powerful than the Amazon Prime version. So essentially, this means two people weaker than him, Invincible and Omni-Man, have combat speed around that region in Earth's atmosphere. So to put it in a bottle and sell it to you, Mark's very strong, but kinda slow in the world of One Punch Man's demon tiers and above. And that's not taking into account his weird ability to lose to people beneath him sometimes anyway. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt and say he'll be able to overpower the likes of Deep Sea King or an early G4 and everything beneath that level. I even want to say that he can defeat Beefcake, given he should be able to hit him hard enough to kill him while evading Beefcake's movements. Except something in me is saying that Mark is going to choose to not hit this guy as hard as he should, and we'll have another fun undershowing from him again if it ever did happen. But let me give him a break and say he defeats Beefcake. No rhyme intended. However, he's not getting away with these antics against the like of Elder Centipede, Carnage Kabuto, or similarly powered monsters. That brings us to Omni-Man from Amazon Prime's Inconsistent, well, man, I just can't stop doing that today. Amazon's Invincible, and it's pretty similar to the section we just covered since I included some Nolan information in there too. Again, we all know Omni-Man is very physically strong. His problem comes with combat speed within planetary atmosphere, and if someone better than him is taking seconds to reach Mach 10, then I can't really give him any higher. Red Rush was shown to be faster than Omni-Man in terms of pure speed, and Nolan needed to anticipate his movements rather than match him motion for motion, and Red Rush's running speed is of similar levels to what creatures like Deep Sea King or Season 1's Speed of Sound Sonic are capable of in battle, maybe even below. So Omni-Man would already be struggling to keep up movement wise in fighting against that grade of motion, meaning he is relying on his brute strength and durability more than anything to get him the win. And if you start bringing up long distance flight speed in space for his combat speed on Earth, I already know you don't know what you're talking about. So if we just give him the benefit of the doubt and say he can knuckle down and grit his way through monsters like Sky King, Deep Sea King, and Ancient King, I guess I'll even let him have Beefcake too, but he'll get stopped once he meets faster, meaner opposition like Carnage Kabuto, Elder Centipede, Goketsu, and the like, similarly to Mark. I know Nolan is pretty tanky, but he's been shown to be hurt and damaged by lesser heroes and even Reanimen, so narratively it's proven he's not invulnerable from attacks lower than what you'd think it'd require. Again, it's not to say Nolan can't hit dragon threats hard, it's more to say he's just not going to be keeping up with them while simultaneously getting crash bang walloped instead. I know it seems pretty harsh on the Invincibles here, but for me personally, that combat speed difference is just too much to overlook when dealing with monsters who could definitely harm them, going by what we've all seen possible in multiple instances within the Amazon Prime show. And last but not least, we have Metro Man. This is a movie I've never seen, and the only thing I have seen of it is that crazy scene of him doing a whole bunch of random things at an alarmingly fast speed. So I'm going to leave this one to you in the comments to fight over. Let me know who the strongest One Punch Man monster within the first 2 seasons that Metro Man can defeat, and why. I've seen a lot of discussion online saying Metro Man would lose to some other Superman types in an actual fight like Henry Cavill's Superman, but I legitimately don't have any idea about Metro Man's levels, so you can let me know about how that one goes. Again, a bit of a casual overall video here today, just a loose but fun time without banging our heads up against the wall too hard, more so something to get some light discussion going as a community. Thanks for watching, like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you're a One Punch Man fan, don't subscribe if you're not, since that's the bulk of the content, and catch you around on the next one perhaps. Click the Saitama channel icon and watch some previous videos if you had fun here today. Thanks again, bye bye.